Behind the polished facade of royal appearances and carefully orchestrated public events lies a man grappling with challenges that would break most people, a father desperately trying to shield his children from the relentless glare of public scrutiny, and a husband whose devotion has been tested in ways the world is only beginning to understand. Prince William, the man destined to wear the crown, has been living through a period that has fundamentally transformed him, revealing vulnerabilities and strengths that paint a picture far more complex than the stoic prince we see waving from palace balconies. Today we're diving deep into the intimate secrets of Prince William's life, exploring his relationship with Kate, his approach to fatherhood, and the crushing weight of a future that grows more inevitable with each passing day. Make sure to subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell, share this video with fellow royal watchers, and drop your thoughts in the comments below because this story will challenge everything you thought you knew about the future king. The past year has been nothing short of devastating for Prince William, forcing him into a role he never wanted to play this soon, that of the royal family's anchor during a storm that seemed to attack from every direction simultaneously. When Kate Middleton revealed her cancer diagnosis to the world in March 2024, the ground beneath William's feet shifted irrevocably. Here was a man who had already lost his mother at 12 years old, who had spent decades building emotional walls to protect himself from further trauma, suddenly facing the possibility of losing the woman who had become his everything. Sources close to the family reveal that William's response was immediate and total. He essentially withdrew from public life as much as royal duty would allow, becoming Kate's primary support system while simultaneously trying to maintain normalcy for their 3 children. The prince who had always been defined by his sense of duty suddenly had to choose between the crown's expectations and his family's needs, and for perhaps the first time in his life, family won without hesitation. What the public didn't see during those agonizing months were the small moments that defined William's character. Palace insiders describe a man who took over school runs with an almost religious dedication, who sat with his children at night answering impossible questions about why Mummy wasn't feeling well, who learned to braid Princess Charlotte's hair because Kate was too exhausted from treatment, who played endless games of football in the Kensington Palace gardens with George and Louis because he knew they needed an outlet for their confusion and fear. This wasn't the Prince William of official engagements and diplomatic handshakes. This was a father stripped of all pretense, operating on pure love and determination, refusing to let his children's world collapse even as his own threatened to do exactly that. Friends say he barely slept during the worst periods, constantly checking on Kate, managing the household, preparing meals, and still finding time to read bedtime stories and maintain the routines that gave his children a sense of security. The relationship between William and Kate has always been portrayed as a modern royal love story, but what recent events have revealed is something far deeper and more profound than romantic fairy tales. They met as students at St. Andrews University in Scotland, 2 young people navigating the complexities of early adulthood, and what began as friendship gradually transformed into something neither could deny. But their path wasn't smooth. William broke up with Kate in 2007, a decision that devastated her but ultimately proved crucial to their relationship's foundation. That brief separation forced both of them to confront what they truly wanted, and when William realized his life felt empty without her, he came back not as a prince seeking a convenient match but as a man who had found his soulmate. Kate waited, not passively but with dignity and strength, and when they reunited the relationship had evolved into something unshakable. What makes their marriage work, according to those who know them best, is Kate's extraordinary ability to be both William's partner and his anchor. She understands the unique pressures he faces in ways no one else possibly could. She doesn't compete with his position or resent the demands placed upon him. Instead, she creates a sanctuary within their home where he can shed the weight of expectation and simply be Will, the man who makes terrible jokes, who loves spicy food despite Kate's protests, who gets genuinely competitive during family game nights, who sometimes needs to vent about the frustrations of royal life without judgment or advice. During her illness, their roles reversed in ways that shocked even their closest circle. William, who had always leaned on Kate's emotional intelligence and steady presence, discovered reserves of strength he didn't know he possessed, and Kate, who had always been the family's organizational hub, had to learn the incredibly difficult art of accepting help and releasing control. Their 3 children, George, Charlotte, and Louis, have become William's primary focus in ways that represent a radical departure from traditional royal parenting. William and Kate have made a conscious decision to give their children as normal a childhood as possible within the extraordinary constraints of their position. George, as the future king, carries a burden that William understands intimately and painfully. The young prince already shows signs of his father's thoughtfulness and his mother's composure, but William is determined that his son will not experience the isolation and pressure that defined his own youth. He's teaching George about his future responsibilities gradually, age-appropriately, ensuring the boy has time to develop his own identity before the crown's weight becomes too heavy. Charlotte, the only daughter, has reportedly inherited Kate's diplomatic skills and possesses a confidence that delights and occasionally terrifies her parents. She's protective of her brothers, particularly Louis, and displays a maturity that suggests she understands more about her family's unique situation than anyone gives her credit for. Louis, the youngest, brings chaos and joy in equal measure, his uninhibited personality a constant reminder to William of what childhood should look like, free from excessive formality and rigid expectation. William's approach to fatherhood has been shaped by two powerful and contradictory influences, the absence of his mother Diana and the example of his father King Charles. From Diana, he learned the importance of emotional availability, of physical affection, of prioritizing his children's emotional well-being over royal protocol. Diana famously took William and Harry to homeless shelters and hospitals, determined they understand that privilege comes with responsibility to those less fortunate. William has continued this tradition, discussing real-world issues with his children in age-appropriate ways, ensuring they grow up with empathy and awareness. From Charles, he learned the importance of duty and service, though he's consciously chosen to balance these lessons with more warmth and accessibility than he received as a child. The result is a parenting style that's uniquely William's, combining the best of both influences while rejecting the elements that caused him pain. The future weighs heavily on William's mind in ways both practical and existential. He watches his father navigate the kingship Charles waited 70 years to assume, and he sees both the opportunities and the constraints that await him. William has spent years developing his own vision for a modernized monarchy, one that's more transparent, more responsive to public sentiment, more focused on tangible charitable impact rather than ceremonial appearances. His work on homelessness, mental health, and environmental conservation reflects causes he genuinely cares about, not just royal obligations he's fulfilling. He understands that the monarchy's survival depends on proving its relevance to new generations who question inherited privilege and institutional power. This means taking risks, speaking out on issues previous royals would have avoided, and being willing to evolve traditions that no longer serve their purpose. But the future also terrifies him in ways he rarely discusses publicly. Every time he sees his father, William confronts the reality that one day, probably sooner than any of them want, he will be king. This means Kate will be queen consort, George will be heir apparent, and their entire family dynamic will transform irrevocably. The freedom they currently enjoy, relative though it may be, will disappear entirely. The scrutiny will intensify beyond anything they've experienced. The demands will multiply exponentially. And William will have to navigate all of this while mourning his father, supporting his grieving children, and assuming responsibilities that have destroyed lesser men. He thinks about this constantly, preparing himself mentally and emotionally, working with advisors to develop strategies for a smooth transition, but no amount of preparation can truly ready someone for wearing the crown. Kate's recovery has been a journey that tested every aspect of their marriage and family life. William's relief when her treatment concluded successfully was palpable to everyone around him, but he knows the fear never completely disappears. Cancer changes everything. It transforms how you see the future, how you prioritize the present, how you value each ordinary moment. Kate has spoken about reassessing what matters, about focusing on joy and connection rather than obligation and appearance. William has embraced this philosophy completely, becoming more selective about the events he attends, more protective of their private family time, more willing to say no to demands that don't align with their values. This has created some tension with palace officials accustomed to royals who never question the schedule, but William has made it clear that his family's well-being is non-negotiable, And if that means disappointing some people or facing criticism for not being visible enough, he's willing to accept those consequences. The relationship between William and his brother Harry remains one of the most painful aspects of his current life, a wound that refuses to heal despite time and distance. The brothers who once seemed inseparable, united by shared trauma and genuine affection, have become strangers whose rift grows wider with each passing year. William feels betrayed by Harry's public revelations about their private family life, viewing his brother's interviews and memoir as violations of trust that can never be fully repaired. He struggles to reconcile the Harry he grew up with, his partner in mischief and his ally against the suffocating aspects of royal life, with the man who now seems determined to burn down everything they once protected together. Kate, who was once very close to Harry, shares William's hurt and disappointment, though sources suggest she holds out more hope for eventual reconciliation than her husband does. The absence of Harry from their lives, from their children's lives, represents a loss that William mourns even as he maintains his position that Harry made choices that have consequences. Looking at Prince William today, we see a man transformed by crisis into someone deeper and more authentic than the carefully controlled prince of earlier years. He's learned that strength isn't about never showing vulnerability but about showing up despite being afraid. He's discovered that leadership isn't about having all the answers but about asking the right questions and listening to wise counsel. He's realized that duty and love aren't opposing forces but complementary values that can coexist when properly balanced. His intimate secrets, his fears for Kate's health, his determination to give his children better than he had, his struggle with the weight of his future, reveal a man who's profoundly human beneath the royal trappings, who bleeds when cut and breaks when pushed too far, but who keeps getting back up because people depend on him and because he's fundamentally decent in ways that can't be taught or faked. The coming years will test William in ways we can only imagine, but if recent events have proven anything, it's that he possesses reserves of strength and love that will serve him well when the crown finally passes to his head. And the question that remains unanswered, the one that keeps royal watchers and William himself awake at night, is this: when the time comes and the weight of the crown settles on his shoulders, will the man who has fought so hard to protect his family's privacy and normalcy be able to balance the competing demands of kingship and fatherhood? Or will the institution that has defined his entire life ultimately demand sacrifices that even his formidable strength cannot sustain?